Well, hello everyone. Thank you so much for joining us to episode 4 of the Embodied Sounds web series. My name is Joshua Miller and I'm your host. Today we are going to be looking at the importance of mantra, devotion, and community as practiced through the art of Bhakti Yoga, specifically kirtan and other forms of yoga. So we're very, very lucky to have my dear friend and brother, Nat Kendall, joining us this afternoon from his home studio. I'm going to patch him in now. Hello, Nat. How's it going today?
Hey Josh, I'm doing well. Happy to be here.
Right on. And can you tell us a little bit about yourself and this practice of devotional singing?
Sure. Um, I guess when I tell this story, I need to kind of backtrack quite a bit and go back to where I was raised, which was in Montana. And for me, really in the very heart and the bosom of divinity and grace, which is nature. And we never grew up going to church or anything, but we were very spiritual folks. And for me, there was such a resonance with reverence for the natural world and the natural wonder that just kept me in awe of life and made me always kind of acknowledge that there was something bigger and beyond me, and yet I was still part of it. And I think that upbringing just set the stage for really the practice of seeing God everywhere and um, trying to stay as connected to that as possible. And I think it's paramount, especially in our modern day, that we try and stay tapped into that. And so when I moved to San Francisco and I left my beloved state of Montana, I kind of felt like something was missing for me. And it was that connection to something bigger and something beyond just the day-to-day dramas that seem to pile up in an urban setting. And somewhere along the journey through my practice of yoga, mostly the first kind of few limbs of it, the asana pranayam, that led me into more of the tradition of Bhakti Yoga and devotion. And when I found that, there was this kind of reemergence into what felt like a connection, back to the soul, to the heart of it all. And since then, I haven't looked back. I just keep chanting my heart out to stay connected. Really, truthfully, it just makes me feel alive and present with the gift of life.
Would you like to share a song with us, my friend?
Sure, let's chant.
So beautiful. Thank you, my brother.
We played that one together quite a few times.
We sure have. That one really sticks with me every time, too. If you would describe how you feel right now after finishing that beautiful chant, what's the energy that is in your body?
Well, I feel relaxed. I was a little stressed out because the internet went out and we were dealing with our technical things. But then when I sat down to chant, everything was cool. I felt, a little more at peace, that's for sure. Head to toe.
Yeah, and have you noticed that in other practices that you've participated with in music before? Is that a universal feeling of rhythm and sound? Something special about kirtan, perhaps? I know you've had a long history in the music business. So how has this particular genre helped you feel more calm and relaxed?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I feel it more so in the kirtan and the devotional music for sure. I mean, I think music carries an incredible power anyway, transcending all genres, no matter what, can be such a cathartic felt, just like you're in it, you're immersed, and I think there's something beautiful about just singing to the divine, and there's no other things that get in the way, I guess. In all my other music endeavors, it's been way more in kind of the Western skewed side of things, and the Bhakti tradition has helped me kind of step back from that presenting that egoic, more like, hey, look, and just been more of a, hey, this is an offering, and this is soothing to me. And when we come together in community and chant and kirtan, I mean, it's just, it's a collective kind of calming and energizing sensation as well that just kind of sweeps me along.
I know exactly what you're talking about. And, I really want people to really understand that opportunity that's available just by connecting with our own voices and being together in community to be singing the same words over and over and over again. I'm curious, what are your thoughts for people new to devotional chanting who might not know the meaning of the words? Do you think it's important really to understand the clear kind of translation and meaning, or is there something kind of mystical about getting lost in words that maybe you don't know the meaning to but resonate on this level? Have you ever spent time thinking about that?
Oh yeah, I spend a lot of time thinking about that because, people, and myself included, we want to know, right? We want to like intellectualize. We want to know the why. We want to know the how. We want to know the outcome. We want to know all about that. And then Bhakti creates this invitation where you can kind of drop back behind that for a moment, and you don't necessarily need to. I think it could enhance, it could deepen the practice if you know a little bit more about, the names that we're chanting and the various mantras. But I think just like we alluded to at the beginning, there's a feeling state. And I think that's super important for people to be able to drop back behind the part of the mind that wants to intellectualize and make sense out of everything. And Bhakti says, wait. We're simply singing to God, and God is here in every moment, every breath, every person, every utterance. So let's not try and overstimulate that part of the brain too much, and let's just drop back into something on a deeper level. So, I do think I think what can happen through the Bhakti tradition is that a seed can get planted if you're willing to first and foremost kind of drop behind like the need to know what it means, and you can feel something, and then from that feeling state that can draw you closer to wanting to know more about it. And when you actually get the spark to say, I want to learn more because I'm experiencing something powerful, then you'll be guided in the right way to learn about it, instead of just okay, I'm going to Google search what this mantra is, and then I'm going to try and rationalize it and make sense out of it, and now I'm going to sing it. So I think if you give yourself the space to just feel first, then Bhakti can kind of hook you and take you on a beautiful journey.
Definitely. And I know we don't have much time today, but I would like to hear a bit more about your personal journey. Do you remember a moment where Bhakti really hooked you in particular? Would you like to share? I'm sure there have been many. I know there have been.
Yeah, I mean,
there have been for me.
Yeah, there have been so many amazing moments on this journey. I mean, I really got introduced to all the chanting through my teacher, Rusty Wells, and he had a studio in San Francisco called Urban Flow. And everybody had, that had known me for so long and known my love of music and also my budding love of yoga and, primarily yoga asana and yoga philosophy. They kept saying, hey, you gotta go meet this guy. You gotta go practice with him. And, it's always a time and a place, right, where things click and sync up and you feel like, oh, wow. And that happened for me. I mean, I remember walking into that studio with 100 plus practitioners in the room and chanting. And the first thing was like, whoa, what is happening here? But then when I gave myself permission to just be swept up into the ocean of bhakti, the chanting, and like let myself be vulnerable and authentic for a moment, let my voice be spilled out in a way that it hadn't in a very long time, then I remember just thinking, I'm home. I made it. I'm home. Thank you, God. Yeah.
Wow, what a moment. What a moment indeed. That must have been. And in this time, well, we're all at home physically, but maybe some of us aren't feeling quite at home emotionally or spiritually, being disconnected. Has this practice come to support you during this time of coronavirus?
Yeah, I mean, it supports me during everything. I remember at the beginning of it, I would just sit with my dotar, which is it's really simple. Some people call it an ektar. This really simple instrument with one note to it, and I would just play it on repeat. And I was just doing all kinds of Shiva chants because I couldn't really make sense out of everything that was happening. I couldn't even fathom what we were about to drop into with the COVID experience. And so I remember at the beginning, my mind was like, I need something to feel good right now. I need something to feel grounded. I need something to feel okay. And I would just sit there and chant with the ektar and just over and over. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. And really just over and over and over until I could come back to a space of, all right, all the drama that was swirling around has kind of been set down for a moment. And I feel at peace again. And now I can kind of re-engage with this weird, wacky new world that's evolving and be a little more clear with my eyes and my heart and know like, okay, how can I best navigate this tumultuous happening right now? So yeah, the chanting at the beginning and continuously carrying me through, every class I've been doing online, we chant our hearts out, and a lot of people have entered into this brand new, and they're now, they're like, the chanting is the best part. Like, that's the part that's been getting me through this whole crazy thing. And I can't even tell you how much joy that brings me to know that what we're doing, even in our little online platform, is helping people find solace. That's been really cool.
Awesome. And we'll post links to all of the online offerings that Nat's doing in the show notes. Tell us a bit about the online experience. How has it changed the way that you've been engaging with your classes? And so wonderful to hear the practice of chanting is still helping folks, even though we're not in the same place. What has been your experience during this time with feeling connected while being so disconnected?
Yeah, I mean, at the beginning, honestly, when I first opened up Zoom and started thinking about doing these online classes, I felt my heart kind of shrink because I didn't know how it would translate to chant. I'm accustomed to being in a room with a lot of people and hearing your voices and feeling the breath and just every tactile bit of sensory information that comes in that lets you know that, like, you're held and you're in community and you can embrace that. And so I felt at the beginning just kind of a, gosh, what are we going to do? And I was really questioning if the chanting would translate. I really didn't know how it would go from, my computer to your computer to somebody else's, whatever they're watching it on. And I think we've all adapted. And what I started noticing as I was like playing the drum and chanting along is that I would start to see people kind of move a little bit, on the other side of their little corner of the universe. If they're home in front of their computer, they were just kind of bouncing along. And that levity that I saw in another human for a moment just kind of reminded me that, okay, this is actually translating. Like, something's getting through, and they're experiencing something that will give them enough freedom to move their body in a way where they're not just kind of, held and constricted from all the fear and insecurity and uncertainty right now. And I think just noticing that little bit of liberation that the chanting and the music was creating gave me hope. And then, there were a plentitude of comments, because I remember at one point I hit this point where I was like, hey, is this even translating? And I got so many messages back saying, please keep chanting. Please, please, please keep chanting with us. It's been the best part of all of this. And I really, really need that. And I look forward to it every time we gather for class. And I thought, oh, cool. All right. Thank God that this is still resonant despite us not being in person. And that was a blessing for me to know.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, brother. That is great to hear, and definitely encouraging to keep doing this practice. I also have been very devoted to my tabla playing, and just recently went up to study with my teacher in Nevada City, Amina Shisti from Fanafi Allah, and always enjoy spending time with masters who have really just devoted to their craft. And I've always felt that from you. So thank you for passing that wisdom along. Well, would you be open to playing another one before we close today? It's a bit of a shorter session due to the tech difficulties, but I think that would be a great way to finish.
Yeah, I would love to. This is always a melody that's brought me a lot of hope, and I know that this mantra in particular also brought Mahatma Gandhi a whole lot of hope. This is one of his favorite chants. I mean, for him, even just chanting to Lord Rama held a lot of potency for uplifting those that have felt crestfallen in times of despair, times of uncertainty. So we'll sing a simple chant, Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, and then we'll move this into Gandhi's favorite chant, one of his favorite chants. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Shri Ram Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Sita Ram Jaya, Sita 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 Ram, Ragupati Raghava, Raja Ram, Patita Pavana, 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 Sita Ram, Shri Ram Jai Ram, Jai Jai 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 Ram, Sitaram, Sitaram, Sitaram Jaya, Sitaram, 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 Sitaram Jaya, Sitaram, 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 Sitaram Jaya, Sitaram, 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 Sitaram Jaya, Sitaram.
Wow, thank you, brother. So beautiful. I feel so at peace and present in this moment. And just really appreciate the space that you hold and all of the love and light that you continue to share. This has been a wonderful conversation with Nat Kendall, and you can visit him at natkendall.com and find out all about his yoga classes and information online. Thank you once again for joining today and sharing your practice.
Thanks, Josh. Pleasure to be here. Always a pleasure to collaborate with you as a fellow radiant soul out there, you and your golden heart. Thank you.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for tuning in, and stay tuned. Subscribe to the web series for more discussions on the power of sound. We'll see you next time. Have a great afternoon.